My name is Ilan Tito. I'm a partner at Chameleon Collective, and I'll introduce the next session. In this session, we'll discover how Farfetch, a luxury fashion retailer, leverages AI to identify previously unknown customers and provide them with highly personalized experiences, including tailored product recommendations and immersive virtual try-ons, all at scale. Our speakers are Peter Szalontay, CEO of Datamilk, and Alfredo Ramirez, Innovation Principal at Farfetch.
Hello, hello. How's everyone doing?
Another panel about AI.
Yes. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. So today we're here to talk about, well, more than anything, Farfetch, actually, and their thoughts on AI. And I'm here to support with what I know about it. So we'll jump right in. Alfredo, thanks for joining me for the panel.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Tell me and our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Perfect. So I'm innovation principal at Farfetch. I've been at Farfetch for 2 years. Before that, I had my own startup working on shared ownership, so like principles of Web3, and also applied AI for the fashion industry. Before that, I was in management consultancy, so like also trying to understand how we could create beautiful tech products to solve some of the most specific luxury problems. And yeah, give a little bit of your background as well, Peter.
Sure. So I'm Peter. I am the CEO of Datamilk today, but my background is, and most of the things I learned at Google. I was there for 5 years. I worked on optimizing search specifically to drive more ad revenue for Alphabet. And an interesting thing before this whole ChatGPT thing took off a couple of years ago, we were working with the underlying technology in 2015 at Google. We were already working with Transformers model that turned into what today we see as ChatGPT. So most of my career I've been focusing on AI in one shape or the other, and I guess now it's the buzzword, so I get to be on stage today. So let's talk about AI and Farfetch and the luxury industry in general. Can you tell us why you guys are so stoked and hyped up about it?
Yeah, it's, I think at Farfetch we haven't started AI yesterday. I think Farfetch is a 15 years old startup. We still consider ourselves a startup. We've been working with AI since day one. One of the beautiful things about Farfetch is that we are a huge universe of brands and customers. We have 4 million active customers and 500,000 products on our catalog. So it's a huge amount of data. And that unlocks us a huge potential to leverage this very specific data for the luxury industry into beautiful and experiences to our customers. I think there's a very funny story, and that's how I started into luxury. I'm from Brazil, and in Brazil we had a very small boutique, a luxury boutique. And I remember going there with my mom, and the sales assistant, she knew everything about my mom, about myself, about my dad. So she knew everything about us and what we liked, the clothes that we like to shop. And every time we went there, we had like an amazing experience because we were felt known by the shop. And this always I always brought this with me in my career. And when I moved to tech, I always wanted to create the same feeling on a website. When we're creating a e-commerce, we want to create a place that people can go and they feel connected and they feel perceived and they feel that people are we understand what they want on that blank, quite boring page. So I think that was my main trigger to move to tech, specific to luxury, because I think it opens you a huge opportunity to create these very beautiful, amazing experiences in a digital way, and you can expand your reach not to 1 or 2 or 10 people that this sales assistant could remember in her day-to-day, but we can reach thousands or millions of customers, which I think is the huge, what amuses me more about Farfetch and the potential that we have to grow. Yeah.
I love that metaphor quite a bit, and we'll get back to personalization in a second. But I see here that you've identified sort of two areas of where you think AI can have a very big impact. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about these two.
Yeah, so we are, as I said, we are now working with AIs since yesterday. We've been working for a long time, and we divided AI and machine learning and all the techniques into key areas. One is the optimization of our services, so like customer service, automation, pricing, and also on the experience side and how we can provide this very beautiful and hyper-personalized experience at scale. So we just divide this two universes that we've been investing throughout the years. Focusing on the optimization, we, of course, when we started the business, we were looking more on enhancing the taxonomy of our products to leverage a better search experience, to a product recommendation experience, so something that is very product focused. Now we are looking more on enhancing this experience and making our creative operations more dynamic by leveraging AI on our photos and using synthetic models and just to optimize the process. Imagine we have 500,000 products in our catalog, and they all come to our warehouses or our studios to be shot. So it's a huge logistics and a huge amount of money invested on this creative operations. So we've been focusing a lot on using synthetic models, synthetic humans, and also investing a lot on digital fashion. So how can we optimize that supply chain? And I think what's next is how can we leverage this experience to a more immersive and spatial experience. So we're just talking about, of course, the Apple headsets that was going to be launched next year, and how we can be ready to accommodate that new environment. So all this work, this groundwork that needs to be made on the physics of the cloth, so you have a more realistic perception of the texture of the draping. Is something that we are investing a lot, so we can leverage this not to 1 or 3 items, but to 500,000 items that we have at Farfetch.com.
Yeah, I mean, some of these concepts have been ideas for a long time. I remember when I was still in university, I pitched an idea to the startup community of the university and won the competition. It was called Virtual Me, and it was all about virtual try-on of clothes, and that was in 2011. And finally now we're coming around to perhaps some of these dreams that we've had become realities and changing the way that we shop. We might not really be needing our phone anymore in 10 years to buy anything, and perhaps the notion of a website is going to change entirely in 10 years. But for now, we do live still in this world of websites. And of course, all companies need to simultaneously think about different pathways that technologies and society can develop. And then personalization has been a big category in optimizing specifically the experiences on the web and inside the app. So tell us a little bit about what Farfetch is doing.
Yeah, so I think that's a very interesting learning curve for us as well. We did start with the simplest simple thing possible. So just recommending a product related to the product. So just having an anchor product and then recommending products that look nice on that. That process was very manual and was all based on our merchandising rules or a styling team doing that. Now we are exploring more a hyper-personalized approach to our logged-in customers, so people that we know what they bought in the past, the products that they interacted, or if they went to one of our shops. We also collect that data and then leverage that on Farfetch.com or Bronze.com or one of the brands of the brands of the group. But we still have a huge amount of customers that come to Farfetch.com that we don't know who they are, and we still are not able to provide them an amazing personalized experience. So they are not being shown the right products. They're not being shown the product that they want to see. And I think that's one of the challenges now, and I think that's how Peter and I met. So I work for the innovation team at Farfetch, and our goal is to fast track our roadmap. So we have I don't know, we have so many ideas that we want to do and a very busy roadmap, but we cannot do that. We have a very limited capacity on engineering and product people. So what we do is we partner with amazing companies from the ecosystem to create bespoke solutions for the luxury industry. And I think that Peter and I met last year, and one of the challenges that we have is how can we provide an amazing experience to customers that are not logged in and we don't know much about them. They just come to Farfetch, they had like 4 or 5 clicks, but they're dropping because they're not seeing the product that they want to see. And that's how we met, and we fell in love, so this is the result of it.
Yeah, and this is a very interesting problem, right? Some call this the privacy paradox. That if you actually ask customers online, you tell them, are you afraid that people will be using your information, and do you want to give out more information? They say, no, I absolutely don't want to give out more information. Same time you ask them, would you like your experience to be very personalized to you? And they say, yes, I absolutely want that. So how do you go and step out of this paradox? And it turns out that there's actually a couple of companies on the web that started by taking this assumption. Such one famous one is TikTok. Yeah, if you guys remember when TikTok was launching, you didn't even need to log in or sign up to TikTok. But as soon as you would start interacting with the feed, it would record all the little small interactions that you had with the feed, and based on that, very quickly picked up on what you're looking at. And that's an example of a personalization strategy that doesn't require any sort of PII to function. It really says, well, you're inside my application, you're interacting with it in some kind of way, you're clearly indicating your intent to me. Let's use those signals to go about it. And this is actually quite the case. Why are these little things not loading here? Let's see if, oh, doesn't want to load. There are a bunch of gray little people where there's white stuff there on our screen. But the point of this slide is 86% of visitors to e-commerce sites are anonymous. Yeah, so this is probably your case as well. Most people who come to the store aren't trying to log in before they are completing a purchase. They want to get that entertaining, engaging purchasing experience without telling you their name, their address, and what their dog's name is, right? It's just sort of irrelevant. And going back to the example that you provided at the store, actually that works really, really well in the physical world. Nobody is walking into a physical store and saying, this is my email address, can I please come in, right? It's irrelevant, but the good assistant at the store, such as your story, can observe what the person is looking at, what they're doing, can ask them follow-up questions and so forth, and based on this minute data, can recommend really, really good products. And so that's kind of the idea behind this concept of personalizing for anonymous users. So Datamilk does help with this problem exactly, but I'm here to just sort of explain how you would go about doing something like this. So the first thing that you need is a sensor, right? You have to basically install a sort of recording system on your site inside your app that is, without collecting any sort of PII, automatically collects these minute signals. Everything that the person is doing on the site, it's collecting that. And then you need to take all this information and clean it and refine it. One very good example of why we need to do that, and I'm sure those of you who are in marketing and in other areas working with digital experiences know that bots, for example, are a huge problem. Imagine you don't remove bots from the data set. Farfetch's site is probably crawled like crazy all the time. You would be optimizing for behavior for bots and not real people, and that's clearly not what we want. That occurs way less in the real world than it does in the digital world, but in the digital world, it's must to be clean and refining these data. The last thing that you need is you need to build the right algorithms, right? So what do I do with this data? How do I combine it with the right AI? And here we've discovered these things that power ChatGPT, for example, transformer models, that are very good at taking these complex journeys and folding them back to a successful outcome. So the high-level idea here is that if you can combine business value with the value for the user, right? So the user is interested in entertaining themselves, but the business wants to sell them things. So a very typical example here is if you're a large retailer that sells a large set of different products. Some are cheaper, like socks, for example, in the case of Farfetch, and some are very, very expensive, like a jacket like this. This was 40 pounds at a vintage store. So as a store, you want to show them more of the expensive things, but people click more on the socks, obviously. Right? So you need to balance and not send all of your traffic to the sock pages. You need to send it actually more frequently to the highest value pages. And if you pick the right algorithm, you can do that the same way as TikTok accomplishes that by optimizing for time spent on the app. They pick the right objective function and the right AI models to power that. So that's kind of the background around how this hyper-personalization can work for you. If you wanted to build it yourself, or you can come talk to us and we can help you raise a platform like this in minutes without having to invest heavily on the engineering side. All right.
First, yeah, I think just to wrap up today's session, just a couple of key takeaways. First, I think very interesting when we're talking about luxury is how we can provide this very, I love the word beautiful, because I think when we're creating a tech product needs to be beautiful for the person that's using, and it's something that is very, very important of everything that we do. So personalization is the key differentiation in the luxury industry, and I think we can achieve that by having a very, as Peter said, a very clean and useful data set. One of the very cool things about Farfetch Group, there's not only Farfetch.com, there's Farfetch Platform Solutions that powers most of the luxury websites today, but also the fashion arm, is the huge amount of data that we have from like product taxonomy, but also like customer data, interactions with the customer service agents, with the interactions with our styling. So like a very specific, language-specific data sets for the industry. So how can we also leverage that data to create experiences that are meaningful for the customers, meaningful for the industry? And then one of the cool things as well, like there's a lot of cool things at Farfetch, but one of the cool things that we do is this open innovation approach for product development. So it's we were born as a tech company, and there's a lot of like a huge mindset of like building everything from scratch ourselves. Like we're very proud, and of course, like when we go to the engineering team, say, oh, yeah, you can build anything. You can build a rocket. You can build anything, but it will cost and it will take time. And until you learn and figure out how to do it, it'll be a lot of like learning and errors curve. So what we do a lot is just go back to the ecosystem and work by partnering with like best-in-class tech providers and tech innovators to co-develop solutions that are specific for the industry. And that way we can fast track and clear the roadmap for things that are core Farfetch, like working on the data sets, working on creating a model that is specific for the industry, while we can test and learn with different technologies with a partner. And I think there's a very interesting approach for big enterprise companies that have a very like heavy oriented build approach, just like open up your spectrum and your vision to the ecosystem as well. Yeah, and keep learning and learning and learning and doing more. I think that's the key takeaway today.
Yeah, well, I'm very thankful that you guys have this strategy of opening up. For me, someone who loves math and AI and data, to get access to data sets like Farfetch to develop our technology is probably the coolest thing ever. But there's an interesting point here around, models, AI models will be commoditized. Competitive advantage will be based on the source and quality of the data used. It's just something interesting, I think, for everyone to think about. You all have unique businesses. You're selling unique products to a unique audience. ultimately that relationship between you and the customer can be described not just from a perspective of the emotions that go through the head of the customer when they're interacting with your products in your store, but also in terms of the interactions that they exhibit while they're going through that experience. And those interactions, you're the only one who has access to them. So cherish that data and make really good use of it. It's in this new world of AI that has gone onto us really, really quickly. It's going to be one of the modes that will remain with you for a very, very long time. So thank you so much, Alfredo.
Oh, thank you so much, Peter. Yeah, just in time.